Simply Centrell. She will ignite your passion and bring your purpose to life. The strategy she shares will take you to higher heights, improving your energy, spirituality, your well-being, a better mindset for your journey to build a better you. She's on fire to take you higher. She's on fire to take you higher. The Simply Centrell Show.
Hello, 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 everyone out there, and welcome to the Simply Centrell Show. I am too excited to be here with you today. We are talking about taking the limits off your life. That's right, no more limits. Hashtag possibilities. You know what to do. We are inviting you to like, share, follow on Facebook and Instagram. We want to make sure that you are following this conversation. It is all about you. This is from the ground up, building a better you, my platform to share with you what my journey has been all of the time that I've been here. I won't even tell you how long that's been. I'll let you guess. I just wanted to come here and share exactly what I've been experiencing, who I have met, the tools and strategies I have learned that have allowed me to build a better me. It is time for us to not have any more limits on our life. So let me share a little bit about who I am. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm from New Orleans. And of course, you know who that. I have to say hi to all of my New Orleans peeps out there. That's right. Make sure I say hello to my family, my friends. Thank you for supporting. I hope you're out there tweeting and sharing and giving your comments. Everyone that has been there for me all the way up until this point. This is absolutely a labor of love, and it has been growing inside of me for a very long time. So as we go through this journey, sharing on this platform, you're going to learn a lot about me. We won't talk too much about me today. I really want to make sure we dig into the conversation, and the conversation is about you. It is about making sure that you are supported, that you are motivated, that you are energized, ignited to pursue your passions and your purpose. That is what we are here for. It is much needed. We have to take the limits off of our lives so that we can be who we were designed to be. There are many people who have sown into my life and who have brought me to this place today. So I'll tell you, almost a few years ago, this year actually, I suffered a major loss in my life, and it kind of woke me up a little bit, and I was broken. I'll say I really was, and spent a lot of time just crying and doing a lot of soul searching, praying, meditation, all of those things, and I was questioning what my life was about because I had just lost someone very special to me. So I'm sharing this with you because this brings me to why I am here. In that time when I meditated and prayed and I'm asking, what is the purpose of my life? I know what some of my talents and gifts are. What is the purpose of my life? And as I did that, I started to get the revelation. God started to show me my purpose is to be of service. What I have done in life is shown up for people. And in that, I have been able to share the things that I have learned, people that I have met that have told me, hey, this is the direction you go. Let me save you some time. And that's what I want to do here today. I said, well, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Should I take this and maybe start working with a nonprofit? And I did, because my thought was that was the start. And thank you, Girls on the Run Greater Houston. I have had the opportunity to serve on that board. We support young girls to build them up, confident, and let them know that limitless potential is what they have. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about no more limits. It's not just for females. I just want you to understand that this is not new for me. This is me building upon something, and now I am sharing it with you. So then the next prayer, which was last year, and last year was, okay, how can I be of greater service? And in my small mind, I thought a bigger nonprofit. And God said, no, I have something better in mind. And that brings me here. So the platform is for me to share my journey in hopes that on your journey, you will start to change the way you think, change the way you operate, move forward in your life. And we're going to start today with the most important step. Take the limits off. Possibilities, that's what we're talking about. So I invite you to like, share, follow, use the hashtags at Simply Centrell, hashtag possibilities, hashtag KYND radio, and just make sure to share the message of positivity. That's where we are. We also invite you to call in a little bit later, 832-230-5592, when we invite our guests to speak and join the conversation. So I don't want to belabor our guest that we have today. You know how wonderful it is when you have talk that inspires, and we thank KYND for giving us this opportunity and this media platform to share that information. I had the awesome pleasure of working with this gentleman that's going to join us on today's show, and his name, Timothy Jones. You probably already know him, out of California. He is a director, a filmmaker, an actor, producer, and TV host. Now, that's a whole lot. Now, when I met him, that's not what he was doing. So we're going to talk about that, because when I met him, this is not what I was doing. So there is a journey here. There's a story here. There is some motivation. There are some steps in between. And at the end of the day, I want you to understand possibilities require action. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest, Mr. Timothy Jones. Can you hear us, Timothy, Skyping in from California?
Centrell Reed.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm good, girl. This is a long time in the making.
Yes, it absolutely is. I am so honored to have you. You know that I enjoy our relationship. I was absolutely over the moon when you said, of course, I'll be your guest. I'll be on your show with all you have going on. Thank you for taking a break to come out and talk to all of us about what your journey has been, maybe even share some personal things and tidbits we can all take away. The conversation we're having today is no more limits, as you know. So let's kind of jump into it. You know, I like to start with words because I think words are really important. I think that that's kind of where our possibilities die, when we start saying the wrong things. So we're going to start with possibility. And possibility means the state or fact of being likely or possible. The thing that can happen or be the case. That thing that may be chosen or done out of several, I'm going to repeat that, several possible alternatives. Because what that says is there's a choice. So I would like you, Timothy, to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about what some of the possibilities were for your life and how you were able to overcome those. What brought you here?
Well, let me first say, you mentioned me taking a break from my busy schedule to be your guest. I'm honored to be on this show. You and I have talked for years, probably for the last 15, 16, 17 years.
Watch it. You're putting dates out there.
About possibilities, and for us to sit here, when you told me you had this platform, the first thing I thought was, number one, I was happy for you. And then when you asked me to be your guest on your first show, I mean, there is no greater honor than for someone to want you to be on their first. And secondly, I want everybody to see my shirt, all my fellas that are watching, and they want to know, like, why I got this flower on my shirt. Let me go ahead and clarify, because, I don't rock flowers on my shirt. This is my Simply Centrell shirt, so everybody can see the logo. I'm representing for Centrell.
Much appreciated.
Of course. To answer your question about possibilities, I love where you started with this. When Centrell and I met, 2000, we were working in a call center. So, although she was already an accomplished businesswoman and, doing various things, owning properties and all that, and I was in management and also moonlighting as an actor and, other things that I was doing. Obviously, we knew that that was a pit stop. That wasn't the destination. The thing that kept me driven for the last 17 years was knowing that anything was possible. There was a lot of bumps in the road. There was a lot of setbacks and a lot of delays. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if Centrell knows this. There was a lot of times that I quit. I started back, and I grinded, and then I quit again because it was very, very difficult. So if there's anything that I'd like to relay to the viewers and the listeners is don't think that your destiny is going to be some easy road. Don't be discouraged if hard times come. That is an indication that you are on the right road. The easy road, the comfortable road is the road of mediocrity. So if you want, God's plan for your life, if you want to fulfill your purpose, there's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with having some hard days. There's nothing wrong with you having opposition or challenges. But like Centrell said earlier, those are just hurdles. So you just got to keep moving.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. And I love that you mentioned, one, that this has been a long road for us. I mean, even though you put some dates out there, I mean, really, T-Smooth, that's what you're going to do. You know how I feel about dates. So even though you put some dates out there, I think it's important for people to know that this truly has been a journey. And there is no possible way that you get to where you are without thinking that, you know what, maybe I'm on the wrong path. Maybe I need to stop doing this and do something else. And that's really where you miss the blessing. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about those obstacles and those things that make us want to quit and why it's so important to keep moving forward. We're going to take a break. Make sure you're sharing, and following on KYND and at Simply Centrell. I hope you stay tuned. Enjoy your drive, Houstonians. We'll talk to you in a minute. Hello and welcome back for all of you who are joining us at Simply Centrell on Facebook Live or even at KYND Radio, the kind of talk that inspires. Thank you for tuning into the Simply Centrell Show. We are talking to Timothy Jones, the director, actor, producer, TV host. I'm probably going to say that 50 million times. Enjoy it. And he is rocking the Simply Centrell shirt. Look at that sunflower logo.
Check it out.
Yes.
You already know.
So we are talking about no more limits and what it means when you are following your passion and purpose and when you want to quit and what those possibilities were in our lives and when that changed for us. So Timothy, now that we're back from the break, let's talk a little bit about that, because I know that becoming who you're supposed to be means you're going to want to quit several times. To get over that hump, you have to keep going because you know that's what you were meant to do with your life. So tell me when you thought that things were not possible for you, because you had to get here some kind of way. And before you thought it was possible, you had to think it wasn't possible. Tell me about that.
Well, for me, it was juggling so much. Because I worked in corporate America and management, that's a demanding role in itself. 2 teenage daughters, responsibilities, car payments, house payment, credit card bills, all the things that people accomplish or accumulate in life. And then when I would get off work, I would head to the studio because at the time I was signed to a record label, and I would also do plays on the weekend, and you had to go to rehearsals during the weeknight. So as exhausting as it sounds, I was literally working about 6 days a week, and these were about 12-hour days, and that's the complete truth. It sounds crazy, it sounds insurmountable, but when it comes to what you love to do, you'll do that regardless. I did that on fumes because it wasn't work for me. It was passion, it was fun. What was work for me was getting up and going to the office. So my point of exhaustion is what caused me to question, is this what I was supposed to do? Because it got to the point several times where I was burned out and I couldn't do it. I wasn't physically capable of burning the candle on both ends, so to speak. And so for those times that, I thought this might be my big break and it didn't work out. And then you do that next thing, you say, okay, this is what's going to catapult me into doing this full time and it didn't work out. Or you meet, the right person that's very recognizable and noticeable, and they make you a promise and they don't keep it and you're devastated. So I think for me, more than anything, physical and mental exhaustion, but then also making the mistake of putting my confidence in people.
Oh.
Because whenever you shift your dreams and make it somebody else's responsibility, that's your fault. That's not their fault. And I had to realize after several times of quitting that everybody else wasn't going to make my dream come true. It wasn't their responsibility.
Right. Now, I love that, because we are talking about possibilities here. And most of the time when we think about what's possible for us, we have gotten some counsel, or we've had some naysayers that say, oh, okay, what you're trying to do, that's a little bit too hard. What? You're getting up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at midnight. You're doing too much. So while you're already struggling with the fact that you are on your grind 24/7, because you're right, once you leave the corporate world and you start working in your passion, for those of you who have full-time day jobs and you're not operating in your passion and purpose on a full-time basis, I mean, you're doing double duty. So you are working at a corporate job, you are coming home or in between time, lunches, whatever, even before work, and you're grinding it out. That is that's serious dedication. And you already have to fight that self-talk. You have to have that strong mindset and giving yourself that positive boost. You know that you can do it. You can make it happen. I am strong. I am persevering. You have to do all of those things. And then when you get around people who don't see the possibility, they only see the limitations, that adds to the burden. That adds to the things that you're already trying to fight in yourself. Talk about that a little bit. Some of the people you came across and some of the things that they said that maybe were against the possibilities you felt were there for you.
Well, you know what? I heard somebody say that, and I love this definition. You have well-meaning, ill-advised people. A lot of the people that were giving me smart advice, they really loved me. They really cared about me. That's for real. I mean that with all sincerity. There are people who were too afraid to get out of the boat, so to speak, and walk in their destiny. And so they unintentionally transfer that fear to you. And then there were those who, they empathize with you because they see that you're exhausted, and they think that exhaustion is an indication that you are trying to make something happen that's not supposed to happen. And if it was supposed to, it would have happened a long time ago. Right. So they meant well, but you cannot listen to well-meaning, ill-advised people. You have to follow what's in your heart. You were born with that. And so I hate to get real deep, but when you think about people like Einstein and, these people that were trailblazers, there was nobody there that could understand them. No one could relate to them and says, that reminds me of the time that I invented. Most of the people that are giving you advice like that to quit haven't invented anything. Right. I heard one person say, I would rather create something that people criticize than not create anything and criticize those who do. And the people who were really giving me smart advice, they meant well, but I don't think that they had the courage to step out and do it, because smart is not always synonymous with success. All of these risk takers that we see that accomplish great things, they lost it all several times. I'm writing a book. I don't want to talk about it all right now, but I mean, I've lost everything, so you cannot be afraid to take risk. You cannot be afraid to jump out of the plane, so to speak, or get out of the boat, or whatever analogy you want to use. Fear will keep you on the dock. It will keep you in that comfort zone. There's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5. I'm not saying anything contrary to that. But if the dream in your heart is bigger, like, Centrell, she came to me with this, take the limits off, no more limits. That's people that think bigger than where they're at right now. And if what's in you is bigger than that 9-to-5, you cannot let fear sabotage your success.
That's right. That's right. Good points. I mean, I feel like you're preaching, and don't be afraid to get deep here, T-Smooth. That's what we're here for. We have to make sure that people understand this is a deep conversation all day long. Is. Let's just be real. These are the conversations that you and I have. We actually have to schedule our time because we know we're going to at least take it 2 hours. And when we take it an hour, we're like, oh, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to give you a lot of time today, because those conversations they are invigorating. They are reigniting everything in us. And so let's talk about that circle, that counsel, those people that let you know that forget about that fear. You're going to either do it with fear, or you're going to recognize that fear is nothing but the false evidence of things appearing as they are real. Once you have faith and you walk past that, then you start seeing all the things that are already destined and lined up for you. And I'm talking about discovering your destiny. So in order to do that, you have to line up with like-minded people who are going to feed you, who are going to support you, who are going to understand exactly where you are coming from and give you that seed that's going to help you to move to the next level so it can be watered. So let's talk about that counsel. Let's talk about the people that you surround yourself by, how you change your circle for where you are going, not for where you are.
Well, you know what's funny, Centrell, and I want everyone that's listening and watching to know this. As many, we use the word haters, and it sounds so negative. But really, there are people in your life, I guess we give them that label because they don't necessarily agree with what we're doing. They don't necessarily see what we see in our vision. So call them haters, non-believers, whatever you want to call them. They may outnumber your supporters, but to Centrell's point, you only need a couple of people who believe in you. You'll never have an equal amount of supporters. I know in my personal experience, I don't have hundreds of people saying, or thousands of people saying, you can do it. I believe in you. Go for it. Doesn't matter if you can pay your bills or not. Reach for the stars. The majority of the people, they're afraid for you. They're afraid that if you, lose something or if something doesn't look right, they hurt for you. So I just wanted to make a point that you only need a couple of people. So Centrell, to answer your question, I only had, 2 or 3 people, if that really were those mentors during those periods where I felt like giving up. One of them comes to mind. I know I use him a lot. He probably gets tired of it, but oh well. One of my mentors in the entertainment industry, Belma Johnson, he's a prominent producer. He's been in the industry for probably 30 years. We talked for years. He got me involved in several projects and, exposed me to a lot, which was very valuable for me. And the most important conversation that I remember having with him, I was very discouraged at a time in my life where I felt like quitting, giving up. And, he didn't sympathize with me. You don't need sympathy. You do not need pity. You need some sound advice, some sound counsel. And he got very stern with me, hurt my feelings. I needed it. And he said, you want everybody else to believe in you, but you need to believe in yourself. And he hung up the phone. And we are still friends to this day. So don't be sensitive when it comes to your mentors. You got to have thick skin. If you really want to go to where, what's in your heart, if you really want to fulfill your destiny, you're going to need some people that tell you the truth. If your breath stinks, they need to, tell you here's a mint, and you should want the truth and stop being in denial and you walking around with halitosis. So my point is, he told me the truth and it hurt, but it catapulted me to where I am right now, because you need to look in the mirror. You need to do some self-examination. So be grateful for that 2 or 3 people that's in your life that mentor you. Don't run from correction or from, honest feedback that doesn't stroke your ego. Don't run from that. Run to that. And I've had, 2 or 3 people that have done that for me. And that's what kept me believing, because it wasn't a fantasy. A lot of people, when it comes to dreams, no, they're really fantasizing. There's a difference. Centrell, you told me something, and I'll say this lastly. You said months ago, Timothy, I'm not a motivational speaker. I am an action coach. And I said, where did you coin that? You need to trademark it. But the truth is, she instills in people more than a dream. You need to take action, because if you're not taking action, it's a fantasy. So the people that were in my life that held me accountable, they told me the truth and they pushed me to take action. And now I'm here talking to Centrell.
Well, there you go. I appreciate that plug, T Smooth. Look at you. Well,
you already know.
You know how we've done. We have been mentor and mentee to each other for years. Your circle is important. Your counsel is important. You need role models. You need coaches. You need those people that are going to teach you faster so that you can go farther. That is the way that it works. We're having great conversations here, T Smooth. We're going to be back in a few. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in at Simply Centrell on Facebook. Like, share, follow. This is positive conversation. Everyone needs to understand. It's time to change your circle. You want to take the limits off? Hashtag possibilities. Change who's in your company. We'll talk to you in a few. Welcome back, everyone. We are on the air at the Simply Centrell Show. Thank you for tuning in, liking, sharing, and following this wonderful conversation. We are talking about taking the limits off of your life. Hashtag possibilities. Hopefully you are continuing the conversation on social media. Enjoying the conversation in your cars as you drive for those in the Central Standard Time Zone and our Houstonians. And T Smooth. At least that's what I call you. Timothy Jones, our director, producer, actor, TV host. You know what? I think it's important. We've been talking about how we've known each other for a very long time. You know, let's give them a little bit more backstory on you and I, because we can't give it to them all. We're just going to give them some snippets, you know, some of the highlights of the things that we have shared over the years that make this relationship special, that make us a part of the circle for each other. Yeah. So let's talk about when we first met back in California when I was living in the sunny southern, SoCal.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief, but man, I'm going to give the listeners a nutshell version of 17 years. When I met Centrell Reed, again, it was about 2000. Centrell was my boss. And, Centrell came in, she's from New Orleans. She came into California, bold. She came in confident. She came into the office dressed like an executive. That was not a requirement. I don't believe we had a dress code at the time, but she came in every day with a business suit on, stilettos, a briefcase. She was like that little girl, when you're 7 or 8 and you're like, go, dress like your mom. Dress up for what you want to be when you grow up. And it's kind of funny. Well, she came in the office like, pencil skirts and blouses, and her peers, her contemporaries had jeans on and tennis shoes. But that differentiated her. And so she was so confident, and I'll keep it real. A lot of people didn't like Centrell. They didn't like her confidence. They didn't like her boldness. And just like I posted last week, for some reason, when a woman is bold, society calls her bossy. And I took note. I ignored whatever they were talking about, and I took note of her qualities, and that was her leadership. She was very professional. She knew what she was talking about. I don't care what color you are, how tall you are, male or female. I like people who know what they're talking about. It will save me a lot of time. And so getting to know her, she was sharp. She was very intelligent. And so once we left ADP, Centrell, I don't even know if she remembers this. When I reached out to her, she was very surprised that I stayed in contact with her. She thought I was one of the crew that didn't like her because there were so many people that didn't, only because they didn't understand. And a lot of people don't want to be told the truth. I've learned this over the years, just in terms of like observing people, watching their behavior, the sensitive people who get their feelings hurt easily. And I used to question why they didn't like her, because I really liked her. And, I finally had to come to the realization that, she held them to a high standard, and a lot of people don't want to be held accountable. So over the years, she and I stayed in contact. I've considered her a mentor. I told her that at lunch several years after that. She couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, you're one of my mentors. It didn't matter if she was female. I even think she's younger than me. I don't even know. But it had nothing to do with her age. It had nothing to do with her gender. This was someone who was sharper than me. This was someone who was balling. She was in real estate. She was already making moves. She was fearless. And that, aside from her gender and age, she inspired me. So 17 years into the game, now she and I don't know that we really focus in on the mentor-mentee. We're just friends, and we sharpen each other. because now she's coming into my world, which is the entertainment world. And now we're able to provide feedback to each other that help each other. But I think I've been the recipient of a lot of insight. And I just want to say that lastly, when you're looking for a mentor, please don't make them fit into your box. If you're a man, they don't have to be a man. If they're a woman, if you're a woman, they don't have to be a woman. If you're black, your mentor doesn't have to be black. There might be a very sharp white woman that wants to help you out, and now you are ignoring her because she doesn't fit in that description that you have on your notebook. Be open to whoever wants to help you. The only prerequisite is that they are sharper than you. And if you can sit there and be the student, you can soak up so much that will catapult you to success.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Tim. You are speaking the truth. It was a rough time back then. I had a blueprint in my mind of what professionalism looked like, and I was emulating it. And it didn't look like what I was seeing. It looked like what I was seeing in CEOs and other organizations. And I was always told, dress for the role you want, not for the one you're in. We are talking about no more limits and possibilities. And I always felt like I have a choice. And not only that, anything is possible. Anyone will tell you my motto back then was make it happen, like I was doing it. Now I say God makes it happen, and I just need to make sure I do my part. Now, before I get into how I felt about meeting you, Timothy, I want to make sure that we bring in our audience and those that are calling in at 832-230-5592. Do we have someone on the line? All right, Miss Tasha Evans. Thank you for calling in. Hello, my dear. How are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
I am doing great. I appreciate this love you are showing us on the Simply Centrell Show here today.
Girl, no, I appreciate you. And Tim, I am loving this show. And Tim, I want to tell you, I want to piggyback on what you're saying and what an inspiration Centrell is. It's so a blessing to so many people. So I'm not surprised that this is just who she is from way back when. And Centrell, love the show. I've been making notes as I'm driving from what y'all are saying. So loving it.
Oh, I am so glad to hear that.
Thank you so much.
No,
I couldn't really hear her, Centrell, but it sounded like she was giving you props.
Well, it sounds like she was giving us both props. Thank you, Tasha. I appreciate you sharing those warm words. She's taking notes. She sounds like she's in transit. This is what the show and the conversations are about. We want you to take notes, guys. We want you to learn from us. We are sharing our journey. This is free information. This is stuff that you don't get every day. Please. The purpose of having these conversations, I'm just going to be real. We are looking to create millionaires. Change your mindset, change your vision, change your trajectory. So you get a little niblet from this conversation, please write it down. Get it in your spirit. We are only giving you the things that are going to help you throughout life, hopefully propel you forward. That's what we are here to do. Thank you, Tasha. We appreciate you calling in and giving us that feedback. That felt good. I appreciate that. So getting back to how we met and my part of the story with Timothy. I mean, you guys can see him on Skype. I knew that Timothy 15, 17 years ago, he looked just as good. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be his boss. This can't happen. What am I going to do? This is going to get crazy. I literally didn't want to even be in the room alone with him because I knew that he was a man of God. He was also a family man, and I wanted to always be respectful, especially of the people that I worked with. And he's right. I held folks to a higher standard, and the most important thing was because I held myself to a higher standard. I always wanted to learn. I always wanted to stretch. I always wanted to grow. It's one of my human needs. I need growth, and I kind of put that out there to everyone, and Timothy grabbed hold of that. So any project, anything we had to do, he was like right on it. He was, oh, yeah, I can do that. As opposed to some people that were like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Do I have to do it? Is it a part of my job description? And it's like, well, you know, it's going to help you for the next level. You have to realize that everyone is not trying to get to the next level. I had to realize that. Everyone can't go. So make sure that you are riding with people who are going in the same place that you're going, are going to the same place, have the same trajectory, have the same mindset, because those that don't want to go, they will hold you back. And you don't want to spend time and energy in people who are not willing or able to do those things. Two things, willingness and able. They don't want to do it, or they're just not capable of doing it. Either way it goes, it is not something that you need to push. You plant the seed and let it get watered in life through their experiences, and then you move forward. So when Timothy reached out to me, that was like, I didn't realize that there was a seed planted there, that this relationship had blossomed into something that could continue. So yeah, we laughed, we joked it up, and then we started having that real conversation.
Wow.
The real conversation where we were talking about dreams, futures, steps, actions. What do we need to do to get to where we want to be? Where do we want to be? And is it possible? And it is absolutely possible. We are living proof of it. And we haven't even stopped. We're going to be talking a little bit more about some of the projects that Timothy has going on as we move through the show. I just want to say that Timothy has also been a mentor for me. I probably wouldn't even be here right now in this show had it not been a conversation that we had, what was it, maybe about 7-8 months ago now?
Yeah.
It was last year, 2016, when I was presented with the opportunity to start this show. And everyone who knows me knows I was running from Facebook Live. I wasn't on social media. Anytime someone wanted to take a picture, Snapchat it, do anything, post it, I was not there because I'm very private. And I share anything that I know with the people that are in my circle. I have no problem. I'm not hoarding knowledge. I want you to be better. I just didn't want to do it in the public. And so when the opportunity came and I shared it with Tim, I was like, you just don't understand. These people want me to be on the radio. People listen to the radio. I mean, they want me to start social media. There's people on there. That's not my organic relationship. That's not what I normally do. And I'll never forget it because I think it was the most stern tone that I've ever heard from Timothy in the most loving way. And he was like, all of the things that you and I have talked about, all of the things that you have shared and shown me, and now you have the opportunity to share it with other people and you don't want to, then you're selfish. And I didn't know that you were a selfish person. So I had to share that because we wouldn't be here having this conversation today. Timothy, thank you for seeing that there was a larger labor of love and there was a larger vision here. We are here today because of your mentorship. I appreciate that. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in your life, Timothy, what projects you have. I'm absolutely excited to have you guys here at Simply Centrell on Facebook. Like, share, follow, guys. This is great conversation for your life. We're here to build a better you. We are back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Simply Centrell Show. We are live on Facebook at Simply Centrell. Please make sure you share this conversation. We're talking about no more limits. We're unleashing the possibilities in your life. We're giving you some tools, some tips on how you can do that. I know, Timothy, you and I were kind of talking about how we met and what our backstory is and how we have become seeds for each other's life. We are watering positivity. We are making sure that we're a part of the circle that supports, the circle that helps to share and propel each one of us forward. I know we were talking earlier about the circle, and I'm reminded of the fact that for our listeners, a lot of them do have a circle that's not necessarily conducive to where they want to go. So changing the circle, I know, was difficult for me. I'll tell you that when I experienced that loss in my life, that's when things started to transition because I already went to a quiet place. And then I had already started distancing myself from people because of that situation, because I literally needed the time to pray and meditate and understand what the next step was. So when it came time to change my circle, some people I already wasn't communicating with. We have to do it intentionally, though. When we're trying to go to the next level, we have to change our circle intentionally. Now, does that mean get rid of friends? No, that's not what that means. From my perspective, and I'll let you share yours too. From my perspective, it just means that you have to focus on your vision and your plan for your life. And those individuals that are your friends, they stay in the friend zone. You make sure that you don't ask someone who's a barber how to, take care of your teeth. You go to a dentist for that. You keep everyone in their place as far as your life. Make sure that your counsel is when you want to laugh, you know who to hang out with. When you want when you want that fuel for your life, you know who to go to. And that's really all we're saying here is to make sure that you go to the right people with those visions and dreams. Protect those things and make sure that they're in a safe space, and those individuals you share it with have earned it and are going to infuse that positivity back into you to keep you moving forward. They're going to give you what you need to move forward. They're not going to naysay. They're not going to deter you. They're going to give you construction. So I'd love to hear your feedback on it. What do you do, and how did you change your circle?
Well, it's funny. That's a long answer, but I'll give it to you brief, and then I definitely want to talk about the show that I'm working on before we leave. One, when it came to changing my circle, very simple. If there's anybody listening right now, you feel kind of like trapped, I guess that's a good way of looking at it. One, start telling people the truth. The wrong people will leave when you start telling them the truth. You won't have to eliminate people from your life. I think sometimes we tap dance and we pretend we want to keep everybody happy. We want to keep everybody that's been in our life around us. And you're being dishonest with yourself when you do that. Another thing, there is a verse in the Bible, Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. And there's so many different versions of the Bible. This is in the Amplified Bible. And God told Abraham to go for yourself, for your own advantage. Most people in this world would call that being selfish. No, that's called being wise. At some point in your life, let me speak for myself. I was trying to make everybody happy. I was trying to make everyone around me feel comfortable. I was trying to support everybody else's dreams and passion. And if they said they were going to start something, I would encourage them. They didn't encourage me back. But then, there was other people that, everybody had something going on. I tried to be at everybody's baby shower and everybody's, birthday party. I was killing myself trying to be supportive to people who didn't really care about me. And once you realize that you only get one life, I'm 43 years old, and the next half of my life, I'm going to do me. Now, I tried to be there for everyone else. I tried to enable. I tried to encourage and support. But if you're encouraging people and they're not doing anything with it, there's another verse in the Bible, since we're preaching, that says, don't cast your pearls before swine. There are people who don't want your advice. They don't want to be encouraged. They don't want to fulfill their destiny. They are happy where they're at. And they don't want to hear Centrell come in the room talking about some possibilities. Here she go, talking about possibilities. I want to watch, Jerry Seinfeld. Some of us want to go beyond where we're at. And I had to realize that it was time for me to go for myself, time for me to go for my, for my own advantage. I only get one life. And in doing that, that would inspire other people. That's not selfish. I can't make everybody else's dreams come true. I'm not God. But if I do what I'm supposed to do, it gives other people permission to do what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely. I love that. You said it eloquently. I think you were preaching. That's literally what you were doing. That's all right.
Hello.
Hello. They need to take note of those passages in the Bible. You are speaking the truth. You do need to be an example. And those people who don't receive it right then and there, the seed is planted. They might receive it later. We don't get to choose the timeline in which someone receives what we're giving them. All we are responsible to do is to share. That's what we're doing today. It's going to fall on some ears. Some folks are going to listen to a few minutes of this broadcast and they're going to they're going to tune out. There are going to be some that stayed through the end, took notes. They know exactly what to do. Take those limits off. Start thinking, I have possibilities in my life. What are those things? I need to change my circle. Who do I need to start being honest with? And let me start with myself. How about that? So they're going to make note of those things that we've talked about, and then they're going to start making some changes. You mean take some action. They're actually going to do something with what we've shared, and they're going to do something different than they did today. And that's the most important thing. So we have preached today. We have shared today. And before we get out of here, I want to make sure everyone knows what your current projects are and what your future projects are. What's going on in Timothy Jones' world?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm hosting a show on PBS. It's called Hidden Heights. My co-host is Iris Hill. She's amazing. And the show is going to air in October. We are taking kids from the inner city who all they see is hood life and street life on a regular basis because kids can't help the family that they're born into. But we're taking kids from the inner city into the mountains, exposing them to nature, exposing them to the outdoors and something different. And once we get them there in the mountains, we're talking to them about real life, setting goals, execution, as Centrell talked about, taking action, letting them know sometimes you got to leave your environment to be able to open up your mind and realize that there is another world out here. There is another life. There's something beyond your block. And a lot of these kids, we get them up to the mountains. They've never seen anything like this. So it's a great teaching opportunity. The show is amazing. It's sponsored by the USDA and their Every Kid in the Park program. Again, it's in October, PBS. I'll be talking about it more often online as that day approaches. I'm also going to start pre-production on my next film. I can't really give a lot of details about the film because of all the people that are involved in it until we get everything trademarked. But this is a drama. We have heard, some good stories about relationships. This next movie is going to include, romance, betrayal, and all of the tough decisions that follow in terms of starting over. I'll leave it at that.
I see you.
So.
That is amazing. And I'm hearing this for the first time on the radio show. Is that how we do it?
That's how we do it, because when I talk to you lately, we are talking about the show because this is your baby. So we got to make sure the baby has Pampers and powder and that you have some Enfamil since this is your first. So I will tell you all about the movie when we talk tonight.
I hear you on that. Any message you want to leave? Last words, T, as we close out the show. What do you want to say? And I have a couple of words myself.
Well, I'll be very brief with mine, and that is, I want everybody to know that's watching and listening, it's okay to be afraid. A lot of times we hear, people say, stop being scared, just go out there and do it. And you have responsibilities. I just want you to know I understand. If nobody else understands, I know you have bills. I know you have a house payment or rent or car payments or children or all of the above. It's okay to be scared, but like Joyce Myers always says, do it afraid. You can tremble, but do it. And that's one thing that I've gleaned from Centrell over the years is take action. I would not have made my first film, Discovering Destiny. I would not be a part of this show on PBS. I would not have gone into a meeting with PBS had I not had the courage to take the action. You got to do something. You hear the encouraging mantra, if you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. It may sound old, but it's still true. You got to take action. And if you're afraid, that's okay. Pray about it and ask God to give you strength, give you wisdom to surround you with the right people, etc. And once he does, if your knees are still trembling, it's okay. You can still step out. You'll be surprised at what's on the other side.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, T Smooth, for joining us. That's Timothy Jones. Please check him out on PBS Hidden Heights. Maybe there'll be some footage on Facebook. I know how he likes to post. Thank you for joining us at the Simply Centrell Show. Remember, bet on you. No more limits, guys. Take the limits off. It's all about possibilities. We'll see you next time.